If you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explainer video, imaging radio, slinging local cars, reading IVR. No, we ain't no stars. This is the Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.
Welcome to the Middle Class VO Podcast. Kevin Kilpatrick here in Nashville, along with Bobby Maxwell, who is in Cincinnati. And Bobby, are you ready? Before we bring on our guests, I have a very special announcement. After 3 years with the previous jingle, an amazing performance by Chloe DeLandis, and we're still going to be breaking that out, but we have a brand new Middle Class VO jingle.
Well, if you need e-learning, we're just an email away. Corporate narration, tell us what to say. Explain the video, imaging radio, slanging local cars, reading IBRs. No, we ain't no stars. No, we're the Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.
Yeah!
Love it!
And that leads us to our first guest that we're going to introduce. The singer on that jingle is Jayson Traver, out of Nashville himself. Jayson happens to be my guy who I have in my corner. He edits for me, he produces for me, and he's an incredibly talented singer and musician. Jayson, welcome to the Middle Class VO Podcast, bud.
Hello, hello. It never gets easier to hear myself recorded.
Who knew, buddy? You're such a great singer.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And we're going to get into all that and how Jayson and I hooked up with each other in just a moment. But we have another very special guest that we would like to welcome to the Middle Class VO Podcast. She is a voice actor. She is doing it all. She's on social media. She's helping out some of the biggest names in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, Kayla Jackson.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, guys.
Absolutely. Kayla, first, Kayla, we'll start with you with an introduction. Tell us about what you're doing right now, your voiceover career, and today, first of all, we're going to talk about areas of voiceover that are on the fringes of voiceover where you can still make money. I call it ancillary areas of income, and there are folks doing it. Kayla is a voice actor herself. She's still making money doing voiceover, but she supplements her income with other areas. Kayla, tell us about that, where you are in your voiceover career right now and what else you're doing.
Sure. So I do voiceover full-time from home. Quit my retail job about 2 years ago now. So that's
Excellent.
exciting. Yeah. But for those of you who don't know me, I am J. Michael Collins' assistant. So I work personally close with him. And I'm his virtual assistant. So you might see me at conferences or, on his social media stuff. That's me.
And he is a busy man, so that means you're a busy woman.
Yes. Yes, it is a hand-in-hand situation.
Yeah, and even Jayson knows who J. Michael Collins is. So, one of the
Indeed,
tops
yeah.
in the industry and one of the busiest guys in the industry. And so we're excited to have Kayla on. And Jayson, same question for you. From your perspective, how are you involved in voiceover?
Oh, and voiceover, well, I don't do any actual voiceover, but I do a lot of editing and producing and basically just anything you've thrown at me. I pretty much just learned how to do and craft and just use my ears because at the end of the day, all the technical stuff aside, I mean, if it sounds good, then it's good. So, yeah, so producing, mixing, everything.
Well, obviously, you're a musician, so you kind of add that to the mix, too. I mean, you have great ears, so that's always helpful in this industry.
I try to have great ears. I did go to a show for the first time in a while the other night. I had a friend that was leaving town, and he was going to play one last show, and I forgot that they are the loudest band ever, and I didn't bring my earplugs, so I think I'm still recovering. I think my 4K is still dipped a little bit.
Awesome.
Excellent. So, Kayla, tell us about your day-to-day. Like, what is your, for folks that are, we have a lot of people that are interested in voiceover that may be just starting their voiceover career, and they want to know from the perspective of somebody like yourself that has gotten into it, has gotten their feet wet. Now you've been doing it full-time 2 years. What is your day-to-day? Is it auditioning? Is it editing? Is it helping JMC? What goes on?
My weeks are pretty split. So, I work so many hours for him and so many hours for myself. So it may vary depending on how many auditions are coming in from my agent or, the pay to plays, or I might have jobs that come through. So it kind of varies day to day. But it can look as much as, I'm having a slow day and don't have a whole lot going on, or it can be I'm working from the time I drop my kid off at school to the time the sun goes down in the afternoon. But yeah, as far as the virtual assistant stuff, a lot of that involves administrative type tasks. And I do that to help supplement my voiceover career. But it also kind of helps me too, because I see how things run behind the scenes for somebody who is working consistently full time. So it's very beneficial to learn how to run my own business. So it's great.
So do you do VA for people other than J. Michael?
He is my only one. He's my only one right now. I have been asked by a couple of people. I just unfortunately don't have the time.
Yeah.
But I have seen an increasing amount of people who are either interested in becoming VAs or are interested in having one. So I feel like it's a growing need in the industry right now.
There was a post in some forum on Facebook where someone was saying that she had been asked a lot to do assisting, and she was kind of up to her comfort level with her current clients, and she wanted to know if anybody else wanted to join her roster or her assistants. And oh my gosh, the feed just went on and on and on, people wanting to do it, or those of us who wanted someone to do it for them. So it was very interesting to see how much reaction there was on that post.
It's a lot, and I think a lot of people would love to do that to help supplement their own voiceover careers when they're having slow times and maybe just don't know how to get started in that or how to put their name out there or how to get partnered with somebody who needs that. So I really love that post. I think it was Miranda Ellis who posted that.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. I think her and Bridget Reel and Lynn Norris are trying to put together a little roster of people who are interested in virtual assistants as well as people who need them, just so we can kind of, pair those together. Yeah, that was a great post. It was very good perspective to see the people that are looking and the people that are interested.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of posting, is that a lot of what you do, Kayla? Is that a lot what a virtual assistant might do? Is a lot of social media stuff?
I have done some social media stuff. Bridget handles a lot of the social media aspect of things. I have done some of that as far as like in the Facebook group or various other social medias, Instagram, TikTok. I have taken classes learning about social media and the algorithms because I feel like it changes constantly. I like social media. I am a millennial, so I grew up in the realm of social media. So I feel like it's important, especially right now, coming off of a 2-year pandemic when everything was digital. So I feel like social media has definitely grown, and it is very important to have somebody who knows how to manage that for you.
I think Jayson's a millennial also, but does not identify as millennial. Is that accurate, Jayson?
That's true. Yeah, I am. But yeah, I would like to think I'm about a 65-year-old man trapped in a 34-year-old man's body. So
exactly.
So
that sounds about right.
I don't really do the socials much.
Well, that's what I was going to use as a segue. Is Jayson doesn't do a ton of social media stuff, but Jayson earns his keep. Behind the scenes in the voiceover world, Jayson fronts a rock band, so he's in front of the scenes in that regard, but he's kind of behind the scenes as far as voiceover goes. Jayson, I tell people this story all the time, but I would like to hear from your perspective, your story on how you and I hooked up.
Skibidi-ba-ba-ba.
Well, yeah, it was pretty funny. I was working at Jimmy John's. I had moved to Nashville. I think I'd been there for 2 years maybe or something like that. But anyway, I had worked I'd worked desk jobs a lot before. Like I worked for a mortgage company and stuff back in Detroit, but I just didn't want a desk job. And I was going on tour, so I'd have to leave for like a month at a time. And there's not a lot of jobs you can do that. So I found Jimmy John's, and the owner of the franchise, they were huge music lovers and a big fan of my band. So they would let me leave whenever, and I knew I had a job. But anyway, I always delivered to Kev. There was a point where it was like at least once every couple weeks, and obviously I went.
Yeah, twice
Dang,
a week,
Kev.
a lot of times, man.
Yeah.
I loved my Jimmy John's.
Was it the Beach Club? Did you get the Beach Club? Was that your thing?
I
Was it
got the Turkey Club. Yeah.
the turkey? Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
on that, whatever that hearty wheat was that has all the nuts
Oh
in
my
it.
gosh.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then I got some spicy chips, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, you got to get the jalapeno chips, man.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. Watch out.
Those are the best.
Yeah, they are. They're so good. But yeah, so I just delivered, and when at that time you had your like studio space that you were renting, like the office space, and so I just being a audio nerd, I just struck up conversation with you and kind of went from there.
Yeah. And from my side, it pretty much exactly like I said. And I tell people, Jayson, and I hope you don't mind, but I consider it what I call a tragic Nashville musician story, because there's hundreds of thousands of stories of musicians that are incredibly talented and try to make it, quote unquote, make it.
Yeah.
But
Whatever
it's-
that means.
Yeah, whatever that means. What is the bar for that? Who knows? What's the measuring stick for that? Who knows? But regardless, Jayson was delivering me sandwiches, once a week, twice a week sometimes. Sometimes if I was watching my girlish figure, I might knock it out for a while. And then one day he says, "Oh, you're working on Pro Tools there." And I'm like, "Okay, the sandwich guy knows what Pro Tools is."
Yeah,
So
I'm impressed already.
Yeah. That tells me something. And so, just we kind of hit it off. And every now and then he'd pop in, deliver me a sub or a sandwich, and we start talking audio and stuff. And I was getting to a point where I just couldn't handle all the stuff I was doing. I was tired of getting up at 6 a.m., starting work, and then working till 6 or 7 p.m., editing my own stuff. And I'm like, I gotta get some help. And so I think I threw it to you like, what, Jayson, would you be interested in on a trial basis doing some stuff?
Yeah. First, for a very short period, it was kind of like that. And just editing some,
Some e-learning, yeah.
yes. So, yeah.
Wow, crazy. And here we are, 3+ years later?
I know. It doesn't feel like it, that pandemic is just a time warp. So,
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to mind there is it's a trust issue, because you are putting your livelihood into somebody else's hands. And that not only for editing, but if you're talking about invoicing or marketing, it's like you're talking about a person's personal finances too. So when you hire somebody to do that, you're just like taking a leap of faith, I guess, right?
100%.
yeah, you definitely have to be. And I think I remember when you hired me on, do you remember what Deborah had said something to you? Because you said you'd hired me. She's like, how do you know this guy just delivers your food? Like, how do you know he's not a weirdo? I'm a weirdo, but I'm a trustworthy weirdo.
Yeah.
So.
And Bobby knows Deborah. Kayla, I don't think you've met Deborah, my wife, but she's always on high alert for, people that would want to take advantage of me or whatever. She's got my back for sure. But yeah,
A good choice.
Yeah, it was so funny because whenever, I was kind of vetting Jayson out, I kind of looked him, wasn't doing a whole lot of social media stuff, but I saw his band and what do you got? 3 albums, Jayson? 3 full-length albums?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, and so I listened to all his stuff, and I'm like, okay, this guy is so close to being a major rock star. The talent is there, the skill is there, so I know the passion is there, the wanting to do great work is there, and so I saw all that, but I still had to kind of continue to vet him and feel him out and all that, because like Bobby said, it's something personal. It's like the livelihood, and I put him through the paces. And Jayson, I'm going to reveal something right now that Kayla and Bobby may get a kick out of. But I brought you in that when I was finally ready to pull the trigger on bringing you on, and retaining you for several hours a day, and I was ready to pull that trigger, and I'm like, okay, I'm bringing him in to talk to him. What do? I'm like, I start Googling. What questions do you ask for a job interview? And I'm like, and so Jayson got this stereotypical questions like, hey, Jayson, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, man.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah.
How can you benefit my company? Why do you think that you'll be a good fit to help me? And he had all great answers.
If
It
you
was
were an
all
animal,
BS.
what would you be?
It was-
Yeah, what would you be?
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
yeah. Do you recall any bizarre questions I asked you, Jayson?
Oh man, I don't know. Interviews are just like kind of like being on stage. It's just you do it and then it's over and you just have no recollection of what happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any of those like pressure situations or whatever, you kind of just, me personally anyway, I just kind of zoom through it and then, yeah.
Skip it ba ba ba.
And now, Kayla, do you do any editing for JMC or for anybody else?
I have. Yeah, I've done a little bit of editing in terms of like personal stuff. I've had a couple people that have sent me something like, hey, I just don't have time to do this. And it took me a little while to get good enough to do it quickly that it was worth their ROI. But the experience of doing that for people has definitely benefited me. You know, it's another skill I can add to my VA experience. So it's another checkbox there.
So do you have like a rate card? If I know you just have the one client right now, JMC, but if you were to branch out, or if Bridget and Lynn were to branch out, is there a set rate card on like this is included at this price for a month, or is it just per person and exactly what you're working on with them?
Yeah, I think a lot of it really depends on. I guess people work in different ways. So I'm contracted a specific amount of hours every week. So it may be in the same vein. It may be, hey, I need you to work this many hours for me every week. This is how much I'll pay you. Or it might be if you're hiring somebody specific for lead generation. Hey, I need you to do 100 leads for me every week, and this is how much I can pay you. I think it really depends on your personal preference, on if you are wanting to work on an hourly basis, if you're wanting to work on a content basis, or even with social media, going back to that, say that you want, 5 posts every day across your multiple social medias. I think it really just kind of depends on what kind of work that you are doing as an assistant. And then on the flip side of that, knowing exactly what you want to get out of a virtual assistant if you're hiring them. So I think that will kind of depend on the rates for you.
Yeah. So being that you do work or you're especially on social media, have you found that you've been hired on social media?
I have actually, surprisingly. Yeah. I had a client hire me through TikTok. That's a regular client now. I've had a few people reach out through Instagram. Facebook is very not so much. Facebook is like just my connect with family and other VO people. I don't really do clients through there. LinkedIn, definitely. But yeah, when I got that one through TikTok, I was pleasantly surprised. It was nice. So that's an ever growing thing right now. There's billions of users. So I feel like that's something to definitely look into as well.
Sure.
A penny for your thoughts.
Kayla, for somebody that's just getting into this, like what are some areas of voiceover that are not actually reading script that you can think of where they can earn money, still being involved in the voiceover industry?
Sure. It could be lead generation. It could be, again, the social media management. It could be just editing. If you are into audio, or like Jayson, you do music, even if you're not physically doing voiceover yourself, that experience is going to help you when you do decide to jump into voiceover, or maybe you won't. It could be, I think, Bobby, you had mentioned sending out invoices. It could even be CRM management. There's a lot of little faucets of small tasks that you could get your toes into without having to jump full force into it. And there are a lot of small things too that people that are working full time, like JMC or like you guys, that, taking those little things off of their plate is so beneficial that you're really helping them out.
Or even like file management for somebody. I'm terrible about categorizing my audio files so it would be easier if I need to go find something. I don't have time to do it. And I know that there are people who are really good at that. And if they can share your screen or something, I could see somebody doing that on an assistant basis.
Absolutely. I mean, it could even be writing SEO for websites. It could be, there's so many things out there that are very helpful. There's so many facets of our business that, you don't have to necessarily be in front of a microphone to be in voiceover.
Yeah, and Jayson has been editing for me, and now he's gone up to producing stuff. His hours have increased with me. And Jayson, you are doing audiobook proofing, which is another area, where people can make money that are not actually speaking. Tell us about the pluses and minuses of audiobook proofing and editing.
Yeah, I did want to talk about that. For the longest time, and up until very recently, I was doing, around like 5 hours or so a day with you. But then, I'd supplement that, and I worked for a really great audiobook production company. And proofing, basically, you just go through, you pull up the audiobook, they'll give you all the raw files, and you put them up in your DAW, and then you have the script, and you have a log, and you just go through and listen to the entirety of the book, and basically note any errors in the reading or any noises that are, that are distracting, and it's pretty simple. You just really have to pay attention, and it is easy, but you find yourself, especially for like a 10, 14-hour book. You obviously can't do it in one sitting, but you really have to make sure you're paying attention. But
You've had
that
caffeine.
Is a great, and it's really a great way to, make some extra money on the side. And just, I would spend, if I had a long book, I usually have about a week to do it. I'd spend like maybe an hour or two a day, and that was it. And
How did you get your clients for that, Jayson?
Through
Jayson.
Kevin. Through Kevin.
Okay.
But now that you've been hooked up with
Kevin is my social media. Sorry to interrupt, but that's my social media.
But now that you'd been hooked up with that producer, how would you recommend somebody seeking that kind of work to, go about it?
Well, you know what? I need to contact him first, but I know since I had to dip down in hours, and actually can't really do much at all for him right now. I'm going to actually reach out to him because I just want to get the okay from him first. And then we'll actually post it, or I'll have you post it on your, on Facebook or whatever you want to do, and actually give contact information because I think they are looking for proofers right now. So.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I actually also did editing for them too, and I did some freelance audiobook editing as well. So just, from the raw audio. And then I also composed music for a couple of them, like at the beginning, like at the intro and stuff. So,
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do with audiobooks.
So before we blast this, publicly among this group right here, if y'all can think of anybody that might be a good fit for something like that, I always, I try to be loyal to people I work with, and Kayla and Jayson, I'm sure you can appreciate somebody being loyal to you.
Absolutely.
And I like to refer people that I know. So among this group right here, if anybody knows anybody, let Jayson or I know.
Sure.
Definitely. I had a voiceover friend text me a couple days ago and said she knew that I was looking for a virtual assistant. I lost my invoicer last year. She passed away, and so I was kind of like, I got to add this to my schedule all of a sudden like that. And she says, I have somebody for you. Do you want their contact information? And I said yes, but once again, I get back to that trust issue. Mm-hmm. If I don't know you and you're doing my invoicing, and my past assistant had my bank information. So that's really, really a chance you're taking there.
Yeah.
So it's good to know, like Kevin just said, it's good to kind of keep it in the loop and vet them and know more about them.
Mm-hmm. And start them with something small, maybe, right out of the gate, maybe don't give them your bank information. Here. Just be like, thanks for that. Cha-ching. But starting with something small, let them start with lead generation, let them start with doing some editing for you, just something to kind of prove their name to you, and then work them a little bit more, kind of test your waters with them and if they're going to be a good fit for you. Because I feel like that's important too, is having personalities that kind of see the same page. That's important as well.
I'm going to play the devil's advocate here and just mention this. There's all these positive things, but have you ever run into a situation or heard of any assistants who steal information in terms of clients, like on a CRM? I mean, it's right there. It's your client. It's their email address. It's how much you're making. What projects you're working on, and that would. I'm such a doubter. I'm the Deborah, Kevin, of that part of it. I mean, do you think that happens?
I don't know, but it's scary though. But I It took me a long time, and Jayson knows not to take this, any way, but other than that I'm very committed to what I do for a living, and I'm very passionate about what I do for a living. And so it's of paramount importance that trust be there. And so I really eased him in. And as we got further along, it's like, okay, would you check on this financial stuff for me and make sure all these, this billing is correct and that kind of stuff. But it's a relationship. It's like anything in that regard. The trust has got to be there. I haven't, and Jayson, to my knowledge, hasn't stolen anything from me that I know of.
No.
He's just writing songs about you.
Exactly.
Skip it a bop bop wow.
I'd be remiss if I did not mention VoiceOver Atlanta. VoiceOver Atlanta is coming up in a matter of weeks now. It's going to be here, and Bobby and I are teaching the middle class voiceover class workshop, Making Cash in the Middle Class, and I got an update on the signups today. And I'm proud to say, Bobby, that we have many that have signed up. We have limited slots open, and we hope people will sign up for our X sessions. We have so much to give. We're so passionate.
Wow.
And we want to give back to the VO community, and that's one of the ways that we do it.
And who's going to VO Atlanta? Kayla, you said you're going, right?
I will be there. Mm-hmm.
Jayson will be back in Nashville cranking out spots.
For you.
Yeah, I actually thought, because it'd be great to have Jayson there to help with some audio video stuff that I plan on doing, but it's just going to be too much to pull him away from the day-to-day editing that's going to need to take place.
We got to slang cars, man.
Got to sling those cars. That's right.
Well, it's impressive that you guys do all this extra work because you're helping out the full-time VO people in such an incredible way. And yeah, thank you. And anybody else who's interested, definitely get in touch with Kevin or Kayla or Jayson if you have that need.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kayla, if you don't mind, would you mind sharing some contact for people to get in touch with you if they have interest in what you provide?
Sure. Yeah, you can contact me. It's Kayla at KaylaJacksonVO.com.
Excellent. And Jayson works through me, so everybody that wants anything from Jayson, get with me. He's mine.
Stay away. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but Jayson, like if somebody was, thinking about, oh man, I want to do voiceover. I'm not quite there with voiceover. I wonder if I could do some other things. What advice might you give somebody that was wanting to get their feet wet in the voiceover arena, but not necessarily speaking?
Well, I guess you would have to be social and do some networking. First of all, that would help. And then obviously have a very, very good knowledge of audio and your digital audio workstation.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. I mean, I got lucky because the VO to me was not really a thing I thought of often. It's like something that's around you all day, but it's sometimes it's something that, unless you're in the community, you don't really, it's just, you take it as, a given that it's just, yes, this is voiceover in a commercial. Anyway, it's a really awesome industry, and I really like being a part of it. So thanks,
and you
Kev.
get back to that situation where so many people who are breaking in, the first thing they want to do is make a demo and get jobs. And it goes right back to this. You have to know audio. You have to treat your room. You have to get coaching all before that comes. So that this is kind of part of that. You really have to know how to self-record these days.
Yes, and I've learned so much. If I were to, but I don't think my voice is more for singing. I don't really have a great speaking voice, but if I were, or if someone wanted to go into that, but they just started off editing first, before you even, like you said, just jump in, do the whole hog right off the bat, just start editing and listening to a lot of your peers or other people in the industry, voiceover talent. I've learned so much. I've learned what you should do. I've learned what you probably shouldn't do. Because when you edit for countless hours I've edited, sometimes I've edited stuff that other people have done, and it's like, I'm just, I wouldn't have said it this way, or, the inflection's not natural, or there's, too much time or not enough time in between reads. And yeah, so you learn a lot.
Yeah, it's good education. It's good
Very
education,
good.
especially if you want to get into this business. Well, Kayla, thank you so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you at VO Atlanta, if we don't run into each other here in Central Middle Tennessee.
I know. We're out and we live so close. Maybe we'll have to run into each other on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Well, very good. And
But
Jayson.
definitely in Atlanta.
Yeah, for sure. Jayson, we probably need to get back to work, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Actually, I forgot to turn my notifications off on my phone, but I don't think any. I still have a couple in the hopper. There's always something in the hopper.
And you've got a
and by the
podcast
way-
to edit now.
And that's true.
And Jayson, you do have a good voice for VO because there's no good person anymore. They want everybody. So something to think about.
Thank you, Bobby. And Jayson knows this. It's Jayson, it's not the voice. You know by now it's not the voice. He's
It
just being
helps,
humble.
but if you don't know, you don't know how to use it. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's been great.
Thank you. It's been fun.
The Middle Class VO Podcast is a K2 Media Productions production.
All views and opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests. The McVop jingle was written and produced by Kevin.
Co-produced and performed by Chloe Dolandis.
Additional engineering by Zach Zimmett.
Bobby's hair and makeup by Rebecca Adlita.
Kevin's wardrobe by Slippery Pete's Fashion Emporium.
All previous episodes are available for download on Podbean.
For the Middle Class VO Podcast, I'm Tracy Thibodeau.
I'm Lisa Lou Perry.
Thanks for listening.
And don't miss the next episode of The Middle Class VO Podcast. The Middle Class VO Podcast.